Social media is hard. And if you're a car salesperson and your boss is telling you to make content, or maybe you want to make content and you aren't sure where to start, in this video, I'm going to give you a full breakdown on the different styles of content you could be making. And the last style of content I'm going to give you helped one of my students sell over 40 cars in 6 weeks just from social media. That's extra car deals. If you're watching this and you're like, who is this guy? My name is Russell Richardson, aka Russ Flips Whips. I built a following of over 1.5 million people while working at a small family-owned Lincoln dealership to help elevate my sales from 8 cars a month to well over 30. And I was selling Lincolns in a very crowded market. So this information I'm going to give you is tested, tried, and true. And I have students across the country executing these exact same strategies I'm going to share with you right now. Now, before we dive into these types of content, do you need to be making all of them? Should you pick some of them? And my best advice to you is start with one that you feel really comfortable with. And we're going to go through different 5 types of content, but stick with the one that you're like, okay, that seems like me. Now, this first style of content we're going to start with is skits. And what is a skit? Here's a 10-second clip from one of my skits.
Here, test drive X557. You want to
Oh
pull it up
man,
so
you
I
got
can...
the stock number. You're ready to do business, huh?
We'll see if the deal's right.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you pull this car up so I can test drive it? Here's the keys to my trade-in. It's paid off. Have your manager look at that. I want to test drive it, and then we'll do numbers and talk.
Now, you can go watch that video on your own time. It's about a minute and a half. But that video right there did over 20 million views across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And it gained me over 75,000 followers. But it didn't sell me a single car. So why should you make content like that? It's going to get you views and clicks, but isn't going to sell you a car, which is a lot of people's goals. It's called growth content. That's the type of content that grows your page, grows your following. And to pull off a skit like that actually isn't that hard. You just need to think in your head, what type of scenarios happen at a car dealership? And how can I kind of act that out and be a little exaggerative? This video right here was just a customer pretending to buy a car, and they were the know-it-all customer. And people love these types of videos. Now, when you're making this content, pro tip, do not, I repeat, do not make fun of customers too hard. You don't want customers to watch your videos and think, oh, this guy's kind of a jerk. I don't want to buy a car from him. You want them to watch you and think, oh, this guy's funny. He gets it. He's entertaining. He's relatable. I see car salespeople way too often making content that is not relatable to a consumer. Are you trying to sell cars to other car salespeople, or are you trying to sell cars to consumers? Keep that in mind when you're making this type of content, and do not make this style of content right here.
Are you in need of any assistance today, sir?
No.
Could help you cross the street.
No.
I could help you cross your yard.
No.
Now, look, that video wasn't terrible, and it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but those meme voiceover style videos aren't going to build you like the following that you're looking to get. Isn't going to help people get to know you, like you, and trust you. You need to learn to speak to the camera. Do not use somebody's voice. Do not use somebody else's audio, somebody else's music. Just be yourself on camera. Now, can you do that video I just sent you a couple times here and there? I might have done that style of content over the thousands of videos I've done, maybe 10 times max. You want to be speaking to the camera, just like I'm speaking to you right now. You're getting to know me, hear how I talk, and that's what you want to do to build a brand on social media. Let's dive into the next type of content. The next style of content you should be making is vlog style content. What is vlog style? It's really just pulling your phone out, talking to the camera, and telling a story about your day or something that happened. You're really just vlogging in real time as things are happening. And this video right here,
But he was expecting us to pick up his car, and the service advisor was beginning to tell him we couldn't do that. And I just intervened. I said, hey, I'll pick up your car.
is it a great example of me just talking about something that happened to me. Now, that video did sell me a car. Now, some people look at that type of content and look at that as like bragging. Oh, look at me. It's really not. I'm just documenting what I'm doing, because I think if people knew what I actually did and got to know me better, they would want to buy a car from me. And that was always the thought process. So whenever I went above and beyond for somebody, it wasn't run to social media to brag about it. It was like, hey, I just want to let people know about this because there are so many bad car salespeople out there. I want them to know that I'm a good guy. So I would always document the things I was doing. And unfortunately, that gentleman, the 94-year-old Purple Heart veteran, Mr. Capuccio, did pass away recently. So rest in peace, Mr. Capuccio. I just found this out a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of sad that I'm actually referencing that video, but it was one that came to mind that I remember me talking about my day, and it got great feedback, got hundreds of thousands of views, got a bunch of likes. People reached out to me, and I did sell a car because of that. Actually, somebody, I never forget, somebody mentioned that video, DM me, hey, saw what you did for that guy. It's super awesome. Says a lot about your character. And we've been thinking about buying a car, and that pushed me over the edge. When can we get things going? Don't overthink the vlog. Just talk to the camera. Things that you think are boring and uninteresting, people are going to find super exciting. It's actually the relatable, mundane things day to day that we do that the average person who will likely buy a car from you will find more relatable than watching Logan Paul sit on his beach house or whatever the case might be. People want to feel heard. And when you're making relatable, just vlog style content, people are going to feel like, oh, this is a normal guy. He goes above and beyond. I would want to spend money with him. And that's the entire thought process when you're vlogging your life at the car dealership. Now, the next type of content is probably one of the most important, especially if you're selling new cars. If you're selling used cars is still pretty important, but new cars, this is so important. You got to be doing car reviews, reviewing the cars you sell. So let's just use, I sold Lincolns, let's talk about Lincoln. You need to be reviewing the Corsair, the Nautilus, the Aviator, the Navigator. You need to be reviewing all of the cars. Like you sell BMW or Mercedes, yeah, that's a lot of cars. You got to make a lot of videos, because here's what happens. Think of today's buyers. What are they doing? They are not reading articles. They're not going, reading things on the internet. They're actually, for the most part, watching reviews on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook to see and learn more about the vehicle. And if you aren't dominating the car review space, I'm talking everything. Think of what a customer could look up. The difference between a XLT and a Lariat F-150. That's a legitimate thing. And do you have a video covering that? You need to think extremely in depth. And this video I made right here on the Lincoln Nautilus sold me more cars than I knew what to do with, just because I was one of the first people ever to review it. Not because I had access to the car earlier or any of this stuff, just because the car showed up at our dealership. I made a pretty fun review, and we'll let it play real quick just at the beginning.
Move over BMW and Mercedes, because behind me is the nicest luxury midsize SUV in the market. Behind me is the 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. This is a pre-production model, but you have your light up Lincoln logo here with your Lincoln bar that lights up and illuminates to greet you. Coming around to the side of the vehicle here, this vehicle is just absolutely stunning. This video does not do it any justice how beautiful this vehicle is.
And yes, I did get a lot of hate for that video, but doesn't matter. We had over 30 people reach out and order Lincoln Nautilus from me because of that video, because they want to do business with me, because they saw me reviewing the car, and for whatever reason, they just liked me. If you think people will like you, you got to be doing car reviews, and you got to be associating the brands you sell with your name in your dealership. So you can stop these people from watching these random YouTube reviewers, which they are good. I'm not saying they're not bad at what they do, but they don't sell the cars. So you should be reviewing the cars so they can hear from you. Now, be unbiased the best you can. I always try to be unbiased in my YouTube reviews. Of course, I'm going to be a little biased. I sell the vehicle. So I did try to always point out some negatives though when I was doing them. That way people would earn a little bit more trust of me. But you need to be doing all different types of car reviews, comparing different makes, comparing the trims within the makes, and all the different things that go along with doing a car review. This could be your bread and butter and where your content starts and stops. But I do think if you're implementing these other styles of content, people are just going to get to know you a little bit better, and they're going to buy from you. Because if you're doing just car reviews, you're leaning on the cars a little bit. You should try to build a brand based off your personality too. That's very important. The next style of content is the easiest and the hardest to pull off. It's the easiest because it's behind the scenes content, and you're just recording what you're already going to do. Whether that's appraising a trade, talking to your boss, talking to a customer, doesn't really matter. You're literally just recording what you're already going to do. It's hardest because it usually does require a camera person. Not always. There are instances where you can just prop your phone up and do what you need to do. And there's a lot of people that do that. Ben's in Bow Ties does an awesome job. He really does behind the scenes content, just records himself desking deals, talking to his employees all day. And that is a strategy. When I was doing behind the scenes content, we were a little bit more in depth. We would actually have a camera guy come up and follow us. You don't need a camera guy. Camera guy to me just means somebody holding an iPhone. To me, that is all it requires to be a camera guy. Now you want to make sure you're getting the right angles and recording where you're supposed to be recording. But this video right here is a prime example of a behind the scenes content video.
He usually says yes when we ask him things on camera.
And if there's one person in the store who we should overappraise a trade for, a nice trade, it's Josh. And no one would be happier with a 24 Nautilus.
I knew this would backfire on me.
So early in the video, I did address the camera, but for the most part, I was just talking to Mr. Biondi when I was at the dealership selling cars, and we were talking about helping a coworker buy a car. We were already going to do that. Me and that coworker were talking about doing that. We were talking about, let's go talk to Mr. Biondi about this, and our camera guy was here. We were like, you know what? Let's just put this on camera. And this video actually helped us sell some cars because people were reaching out like, if you put some money on my car and trade in, I'd come buy a car. And people just seeing how we operate and talk, even though we're on camera, it just really adds another layer and depth to your style of content. I would really have your camera rolling all the time. You can always delete content. You can always edit it. You can not use it. But how many times in your life have you had an opportunity or moment where you're like, oh, why weren't we recording? So we try to record everything as much as possible, especially when we're out and about. When I was at the dealership, the cameras were on all the time. Because like I said, you can always delete the footage, but you can never recreate a magical moment. The last style of content on this list that you should definitely be making, and this right here helped one of my students sell over 40 cars in 6 weeks. Here's the clip of him saying so.
I didn't think TikTok videos would help me sell cars until I met Russ Flip Swips. I was already selling a lot of cars, about 30 to 40, 50 plus a month. I even had a month where I sold 65 cars, and I wasn't doing videos for TikTok or anything like that until, I met Russ Flip Swips. So after doing it, just in the first 6 or 7 weeks, I've sold, I want to say roughly like 40 something cars from TikTok.
And guys, that's 40 extra cars, not 40 cars total. It's 40 extra additional cars. I think he did like 50 total between the 2 months. I don't even know. He sells so many cars I lose track. It's educational content, educating the customers on the car buying process and everything they need to know. Why would you do this? Why would you educate the customer? Well, reason being is there's already people putting this information online. There are already people whose lives are dedicated to educating people how to buy a car. So they're either going to hear that information from you or for somebody else. And this video I made right here still ranks #1 organically on Google when you look up how to get out of negative equity. How many customers have you had with negative equity? How many people have you helped get out of negative equity? So with this video I made on how to get out of negative equity, people just reach out to me and I have an endless stream of customers. And yes, I can't help them all, but imagine if you're selling 8 cars a month and you're like, man, I just wish I had more customers reaching out to me. At least I had something to do and I can help them and sell them a car. And the best thing about customers, you know, with negative equity is they'll do whatever you tell them to do if you can help them get out of the negative equity. We sold a bunch of cars and made a bunch of money in doing so. And that's why we're in business. We're there to sell cars and make money. And we help people along the way, which is amazing. And those customers were some of the happiest customers we ever had because we helped them get out of their negative equity. But you need to be educating customers on everything, getting the best deal, their trade, financing, all this stuff. And a lot of people, especially if you're on a gross pay plan, might be a little scared. Like, well, I don't want people coming in and using my negotiation tactics against me. And I totally get that. And that happened to me. And I was on a 100% gross pay plan. But what often happened too was a lot of people just came in and bought from me because they liked me and they just paid at the price I asked them to pay, which was a fair, honest price, but it wasn't an extremely discounted, you know, invoice deal, less holdback, and then giving them all the money and the stars for their trade-in. It was just a fair deal for both of us because they trusted me. They saw my content. They knew I was the real deal. They knew I wouldn't take advantage of them, which I don't do. And I sold a bunch of cars this way. You need to be educating your customers. Now, I just threw 5 different styles of content at you. Start with one. For me, it was car reviews. Car reviews were easy. I knew my product very, very well. I went from car reviews to skits, then from skits to vlogs, vlogs to educational, and then I did behind the scenes content as well. So don't feel like you need to just jump in and do all of them at the same time. Start with one and keep it going. Now, if this all sounds super, super awesome or maybe intimidating and you're like, man, I wish I could get like more in-depth strategies on this. Like, where do I really go? And that's what our top students do. Now you're watching this video probably thinking like, hey, that was good, but I need like some more clarity and detail on where to start. And a lot of people feel that way. This training that I offer gives you an A to Z blueprint on exactly how to do social media as a car salesperson. And you can hit the link down below to apply for this mentorship if you actually want to take social media content to the next level. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.